Hello, Vineyard Boise. Well, in this Grapevine installment, we're talking about something that we probably should have talked about last week, but we just didn't realize just how close we are to, well, first of all, Thanksgiving, and then Advent, and then Christmas. I mean, it's all here. And we desperately need it to be here, don't we? We need a bit of Thanksgiving, we need a bit of Advent, and a bit of Christmas. So in this video, we're just explaining what we're doing for Advent. And if you do the devotions, which of course each one of you watching this does because you're that good, you would have noticed this morning that we're taking a break from Mark and are commencing 5 weeks of devotions focused on Advent. And we hadn't talked about it yet. So, ta-da, here we are. So, Advent, very, very succinctly, well, okay, for me, as succinctly as possible, Advent is the season celebrating the coming of Christ. It's from the Latin Adventus, which means the arrival, specifically the arrival of a notable person, thing, or event. In fact, I looked it up in the dictionary here. I've got Webster's like unabridged 20th century dictionary that's still, well, you know, it's still relevant. But actually, yes, we even have, right here, we have Advent, not to be confused with Adventism. That's something else. Just different. Advent is the season celebrated traditionally for the last 2,000 years, leading up to the celebration of the birth of Jesus, which by traditional calendar arrangement has been put in December. That's another whole subject in itself. But it's like the 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas is what Advent is about. And there's the lighting of candles. So I'm going to go ahead and light a candle here. This is actually the candle of Saint Moira Rose, little known saint. But there's a lighting of candles on each of those 4 Sundays, and then the final candle is lit on Christmas Day itself, the arrival of Christ, and so we're marking this season by a study of the gift of risk. That Advent this year in 2020 is the gift of risk, and what a risky and hairy and scary year it's been. And life is like that. Life has risks, and Jesus is the ultimate risk taker. And so we're doing our regular devotions, as you may have noticed, which are actually working in tandem with some Vineyard resource material, which is actually a PDF digital format that we're going to have a link on our webpage. It should be on the resource page, but we'll anyway, it's going to be there. Plus, we're going to have like 40 copies that are available, hard copies available here in the office to pick up tomorrow while the office is open, or Wednesday, that is, of this week when the office is open, as well as on this coming Sunday. But the devotions are 5 days a week. The Vineyard resource material is basically just a weekly prompt to contemplation and journaling, and so it's not an in-depth resource. It's more just allowing opportunity to pause, to contemplate, to write. The devotions are working in tandem with that. We'll be looking at, this week I just threw in the gift of risk and the Magi. So the risk of the Magi for week 1. They actually didn't have a featured story for week 1 in the Vineyard material. And then next week, the risk of Mary, and then the risk of Joseph, and then finally the risk of Jesus. And then we wrap the series up. And I'm supplementing that by just looking at the great risk takers of the Bible story from those who are specifically named in Hebrews chapter 11. Happened to be 19 of them, and that actually happened to be the number of slots that I had available as far as just devotional days to fill. So it was just a perfect fit. And so we're going to be exploring risk, and we are going to be having a Christmas Eve service, But that'll be another Grapevine coming up. Just know that it's coming, and you'll be hearing about that before it happens. Really, we'll make sure that you hear about it before it happens. But anyway, so there you go. If you have questions, feel free. You can shoot me an email at mike.freeman@vineyardboise.org. I'll be happy to get you a copy of that, digital copy of the Vineyard resource material, as well as a link to our devotions page on the Vineyard website, so you can sign up for those and access those in whatever way is best for you. So there you go. I was looking here at the dictionary. Adventitious. Adventitious is actually a word. It means that which comes from outside and is kind of added into the mix of things. It's not exactly serendipitous, it's adventitious. Some exterior thing or person or event that we had not anticipated happens. And now everything is impacted and changed as a result. This is an adventitious season. And so adventitiously, let us engage in the season of Advent, in the devotions and in our Sunday gatherings virtually or in person as we're able. And let's embrace the risk of Christmas, the risk of the kingdom of God, the risk of Jesus.